Season 6 is pretty similar to Season 5. They've been going down the list fixing things, and this time they decided to focus on Raj. From the beginning, he's been the most in need of development, so I was very happy to see him get some attention, while still being cautious knowing how he's been written in the past. Raj focuses more on being a healthy single person for a while. He makes friends outside of the main cast, and it's nice to see. His romantic side still shines through when he meets a girl, though. He falls head over heels for her instantly, but she runs away halfway through the first date, bringing back the old sad Raj in full force. She comes back, though, and apologizes for bailing on him, saying she just ran away because she's insecure. We see a good bit more of this over the season, Raj trying to be in a normal relationship when the other person just isn't ready. He's patient at first, but eventually he tries to speed things up and pushes her away. Luckily, the girls are there to support him as they have been all season. He's always been portrayed as more feminine than the other guys, but now it's a lot more apparent. Raj seeming to be a more natural fit with the girls a lot of the time, on top of all the subtle references to his sexuality and femininity, hint at him being either gay or trans or something. However, very little respect is paid to this, so there's no chance we'll get an official coming out anytime soon, and it feels rude to speculate. I just look at this new Raj as a feminine person who's made fun of every time he strays from the norm. Even though Raj isn't written that well here, they still fixed his biggest issues, so it's an improvement. Like they finally dropped the whole needs to be drunk in order to talk to girls thing, which was long overdue. It's really unceremonious as well. He's crying to Penny after their breakup in the finale, and they both realize he's not drunk. I'm happy they did it, but it's another change that's just a little too obvious. They spent all season setting up Raj to hang out with the girls more, running around the drinking rule as much as possible. Then it ends with the problem disappearing all of a sudden, along with his girlfriend from this season, who only existed for this development, it seems. Big Raj season, not because he has any good episodes, but because they stopped doing shy, pathetic, and racist jokes at his expense. It still happens, just a lot less. All the other characters just follow the path set before them in Season 5. Sheldon and Amy, Leonard and Penny, and Howard and Bernadette all have stories centering around strengthening their relationships. Whenever we see conflict among the cast, the girls are always the resolution. The girls also talk about their lives and goals a lot more openly, which is the only thing driving the plot forward. Leonard and Penny's relationship this season starts off with constant bickering over nothing, and it would be a lot more annoying if it weren't for the little bit of progress that is made every time she talks with her friends. Penny is super scared of committing to a long-term relationship, which causes a lot of the friction between her and Leonard. But Amy and Bernadette help her understand these feelings and how to communicate them properly. All this culminates in Leonard leaving for a few months at the end of the season, like the show loves to have characters do, and there being no real fallout. So things are looking good for the pair going into the next season. Individually, they're both not great. Leonard doesn't matter much outside of Penny still, and Penny doesn't get much attention solo. There's an episode where she outright says she doesn't have any passions outside of Leonard, and she's happy with that. I'm sure there are people like that in real life, but I'm still disappointed by what it means for the character. Bernadette and Howard is definitely where I was most disappointed after seeing how much attention they got last season. They're still a super solid couple, they handle each other well, and don't have any conflict that puts their relationship at risk. But at this point, they're kind of just here to contrast the more chaotic couples. I should have seen it coming though. The likelihood of a show like this teasing a divorce arc is close to non-existent. So once they're married, we can kind of just stop worrying about them. Luckily, the writers don't seem to be in a hurry to have the other couples get married. I mean, Leonard and Penny is inevitable. They talk about it all the time, but Sheldon and Amy are a slow burn. They're trying to speed it up right now, and kind of failing to do so realistically. Sheldon has a couple speeches this season about how he sees himself getting physical with Amy in the distant future, but it seems like far, far in the future, like so far that at this pace we would never see it happen. We do see a big step for the two in the finale though, and it's so weird. Amy is super upset because the relationship is kind of a joke. She does everything for Sheldon, and clearly wants things to get intimate, but Sheldon turns her down every time. Sheldon, in trying to comfort her, agrees to have sex in the role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons. Amy's really into it, and Sheldon's responding as robotically as possible. I just don't see any world where Sheldon's suddenly comfortable with intimacy, even though that's clearly where things are going. He's already had a bit of a drop-off for me because he's made so little progress on his narcissism, and that's the central conflict of all of his plots. And for some reason, they give him a bunch of sexist and racist lines this season. Maybe I'm just getting tired of Sheldon, but it really feels like they've given up on writing him like a real character outside of Amy, who I've also lost a little love for. She's a very sexually repressed character, and it comes up a lot. She can be a little pervy sometimes, and her being paired with someone who's been portrayed as asexual up until now makes a lot of this feel like she's pressuring him, or worse, manipulating him. There are a handful of examples of Amy taking advantage of Sheldon's ignorance to get him to commit sexual acts, and it's super uncomfortable when you ignore the laugh track. I just hoped for more, I guess. That's Season 6, very similar to Season 5, but definitely a bit of a drop-off. I really don't know how they're going to keep this formula fresh for 6 more seasons. Subscribe if you're curious too.